Going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here with some more content to bring to you today. We're going to bring you a kind of regular segment now where we're going to talk about the transfer targets, speculation in the press, and what a better man to do that with the transfer guru from Twitter, Marc Ben Umram. How are you doing, Marc?
Yeah, I'm good, Ben. We're just getting through these difficult times like anybody else. So, yeah, we're making the best of it.
Exactly. I know it's a hard time at the moment for everyone, to be honest. But the positive thing, I think, is that we're all in it together. So let's start off with this content. Hopefully people are going to enjoy it. So let's kick off. There's quite a lot to talk about today. Starting off with the great Erling Haaland, obviously joined Dortmund this season. And there's some speculation about him. What can you tell me about Erling Haaland?
Yeah, so in the transfer window in general is going to be quite interesting this summer if we even have it. You know, on a few fronts. Firstly, in terms of transfer fees, our club's going to be paying the same on transfer fees. You know, we're talking about someone like Haaland. Our club's going to be paying transfer fees as high as 50, 60 million, even above that, of course. I'm not sure. It's, you know, what's happening at the moment is going to have a huge effect on clubs and their finances, especially in the short-term future. And then the second question, I guess, is when will the transfer window open and how long will it last for? So these are kind of the big key questions at the moment, which we need to get, you know, which we just need time until we get the answers for. I think that the transfer window will be open for a longer time period this year. With what's going on, which is absolutely right. You know, I think it's probably the right idea, and you know, I guess for us making content, and for me, it'll be interesting with the longer transfer window. So let's see. But in terms of Haaland, stories come from Tutto Mercato Web. Italian broadsheet. They are not the most reliable broadsheet. Unfortunately, having to say that to Spurs fans. Usually when you see us linked with these big names, it's usually not something to get excited about. And that's kind of why I set up the tier system in the first place, because too many fans getting too excited about things that are, you know, big names that are being posted, and no one's really bringing any sort of like background into that. And that's really why I started it. So Haaland, Tutto Mercato Web. He does have a release clause, which is interesting considering he's just signed for Borussia Dortmund. In the window, there is a release.
Yeah, I think you cut off there just as you said the price for the clause, but I believe it's around 60 million euros. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. 60 million is what's been quoted, and even at that price, even Spurs could afford it at that price. But I don't see it happening.
I mean, if Kane was to leave this summer, that could be a real option, couldn't it?
If Kane were to leave this summer, I think we could all pack up and leave ourselves. That's the truth of the situation. If Kane leaves this summer, even if he does, which I'm not sure he will just yet, but I can understand it. Even if he does, I don't think we'll be bringing in a player of Haaland's ability to replace him. Unfortunately, that's where we are as a club. But it really depends. You know, will we be in the Champions League next season? You know, we don't know, and that will certainly affect things. Either way, if Harry Kane were to leave, I'm not sure Haaland would be the guy that would replace him. There's a queue for his signature, and we are a good club and a great club, of course, but I don't think we'd be winning that race.
Either way, Haaland just joined Dortmund this year, so I think maybe he'll spend at least another year there, but in the very minimum, surely.
Yeah, you would think so. I think that's the plan. I don't think, you know, I think he said it himself. I don't think he sees Dortmund as a long-term project. But I think it's the right thing to suit him right now. And yeah, I think he'll, you know, I think he'll probably stay another year, but just judging by going back to the report, you know, it's not a reliable report. So sorry to say that as fans.
Well, sorry, everyone. Erling Haaland doesn't seem to be coming this summer. But moving on to the next striker option who's been talked about in the press, and that is Luka Jovic of Real Madrid. What can you tell me about him?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Luka Jovic signed for Real Madrid last year. Big things were expected. Not worked out there at all, really. There's definitely been reports linking him with moves away from the club. All sorts of reports regarding him breaking coronavirus protocols to return home, etc., etc. A lot of talk in Spain does suggest that Los Blancos could not terminate his contract, but end his stay as early as 1 year after his arrival. Talks coming from Marca, which is obviously a Real Madrid publication, a Real Madrid aligned publication, shall we say, saying that Premier League clubs are interested in him, and that Spurs have had previous interest in him. So that was a report that came out yesterday. Marca is a Real Madrid mouthpiece, so there could be all sorts of reasons why that report came out yesterday and why Spurs are one of the names in the frame. Marca is a tier 3 source, so slightly better than Tuta Mercato Web. Sometimes, like I said, a Real Madrid mouthpiece, so sometimes it's reliable, sometimes not. Sometimes it's used to push out certain stories for certain reasons. So Marca is a tier 3. They're saying Spurs are one of a few clubs interested, and Real Madrid are trying to push him towards the Premier League. That's what I can say. Again, it's a little bit better than the Haaland stories. It's mixed accuracy at tier 3.
But surely Luka Jovic, a guy who was smashing the German league to bits last season with Frankfurt, he goes to Real Madrid. If he leaves Real Madrid, don't you think he wants assurances to play?
Yeah, he may. Yeah, you can never know in these situations because he may be loving life in Spain, if not at the club. So it may take a lot for him to go. He may just not be happy, think he's made the wrong move. So we'll find the right move for him. It's interesting because if we were still under Mauricio Pochettino, I'd be more wary of the concept of, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? We have Harry Kane. Jose Mourinho is slightly different in that sense. Jose Mourinho would probably want 3 strikers if he could have them. Lots of different options at the right time. So I would think that definitely in terms of speaking to the player himself, it may not be a massive obstacle whether he's going to play every single game. And if he is going to play every single game, maybe he has to take a step down from Spurs and go to another club where he can be assured that. There are many clubs where he won't be assured first team football who played the Champions League, for example. So, it's one of those whereby we need another striker. We need another striker of great quality. I'm sure his name is going to be mentioned a lot this summer and when the window does eventually open. For right now, it's at tier 3. So it's take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, we'll take it with a bit of pinch of salt. But let's move on to another player, Phil Coutinho, a player that was he was all set to join Tottenham last summer. A deal was agreed, and apparently Daniel Levy went back on that deal, and that's why Coutinho was left a bit angry with Daniel, apparently.
Yeah, that's a funny one. Obviously, if anyone remembers back to last summer, that story came out of the blue that Spurs were on the verge of signing Coutinho on loan. It didn't happen. Some press this week has suggested Spurs will go back in for Coutinho and loan, and that's coming from Mirror and Sky Sports, which are both also tier 3s. They're also mixed accuracy there. And an interesting article from Sport in Spain says exactly what you said, that Spurs had a deal agreed for him on loan, and they changed the terms. Spurs and Daniel Levy changed the terms, and that caused the transfer to a loan transfer not to happen. However, Alistair Gold, who is from Football London, a higher source, he's 1.5 or 2 around that area. Alistair Gold has said that the club have categorically come out and said that's not the case. That's not what happened. You would expect them to come out and say something like that, but they have come out and said that is not what happened. So obviously we've got to take that at face value and say that that isn't what was really reported at the time either. So not really sure what to make of that one. But in terms of the story saying that Coutinho could join Spurs on loan. It's another one which is just going to go on and on in the coming weeks and months. He eventually ends up somewhere. We see at Bayern at the moment, playing for Barca. His Barca future looks very much up in the air. So what his next move will be, not too sure. He'll be continuously linked with Spurs. Whether it will happen or not, I don't know, of course. But again, as with most of the stories, no higher than a tier 3. So mixed accuracy. That's what tier 3 means. So wait and see.
It was an interesting one, that with Coutinho, because he was absolutely smashing things for Liverpool. Liverpool fans were very upset to see him go, and it just didn't work out for him at Barcelona. What was the reasoning for that? Why wasn't he getting the game time that he needed, or that, because he went for over 100 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he's kind of in a similar boat to Ousmane Dembele, who went there for a huge price tag, a huge name, and everyone thought he would set the world alight. It hasn't worked out. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of Barcelona politics. It looks like another one where the fit, just hasn't worked. It's happened with a few players at Barcelona in the past. Dembele, think of someone like Ibrahimovic as well, who went there for a short time and it worked for a small amount of time and then didn't work. The club makes these decisions, quite quickly in the past, and this is one they seem to have made on Coutinho, that it hasn't worked for whatever reason, and that's an interesting one that they made that decision so quickly. So could be something behind the scenes, could be an attitude thing. Not too sure.
Yeah. And let's move on to Marcel Sabitzer of Red Bull Leipzig. Obviously, we came up against him not long ago. A very good player. What can you tell me about him?
So another name which has been linked to Spurs. A few weeks ago, he was first linked by a publication which was a tier 4 source, so I didn't really take much notice of that rumour. But in recent weeks, and even a couple of days ago, Bild has come out, Bild from Germany, have come out, and they're at tier 2.5. So semi-reliable source have come out and said that there is interest from Spurs in the player. Obviously, them being a German publication and Sabitzer playing for a German club definitely doesn't always mean anything. But there is some basis to look deeper into that based on Bild being the ones to report it. So we'll see what happens there. He came up against us, looked very impressive, and is a player which, like quite a number of players, is a player in terms of Sabitzer and Leipzig, and no disrespect to them because they obviously completely trounced us. He's a player that's gettable for various different reasons. Bill do say that the club Leipzig wouldn't accept anything under 50 million euro for him. So again, with what's happening at the moment, who knows whether Spurs or any club would pay that sort of fee. You would think they would. Obviously, in today's market, that's nothing. But with what's happening, not too sure. And Spurs are obviously going to be more prudent than most clubs, like we usually are. So the fee may be something that may put us off, but a player that's gettable and definitely one to look out for and see if this rumour kind of moves up along the tier ladders.
Yeah, definitely a tricky winger in Marcel Sabitzer. You're talking about gettable players from Leipzig, and I think they've got a number of players that could be gettable. Number one, the defender Dayot Upamecano as well. I think there's quite a few players that play for Leipzig that would easily get in our team, and they could be gettable. The shining lights of the Premier League and all that, the money of the Premier League. Moving on to last but not least, a player where the rumours don't really go away. I think we've been linked with him 3 or 4 years in a row. A player that he went to Inter Milan in a kind of big money move, but it never really worked out for him. Went on loan to Valencia, and now he's back at Valencia full-time. Jeffrey Kondogbia. What can you tell me about him?
Yeah, Kondogbia is an interesting one. We've been linked with him for a number of years, like you say. And every year it does seem to come from the same sort of sources who say that, no, there's interest there. This is from Sky Sports, who pushed this story a number of times in the past. And it's just never come to fruition for a number of reasons. It's again coming from Sky Sports, who suggests that there is interest in Jeffrey Kondogbia. Again, Sky Sports, to me, I think people are going to be quite think I'm quite controversial about it, but Sky Sports for me are not as reliable as they used to be. I judge, the reliability is judged off the accuracy of the stories when it comes to Spurs transfers, and Sky Sports are hit and miss, and that's why they're set at tier 3. That's why this transfer rumor is set as a tier 3 as well. So Spurs do need someone in that position. There's no doubt. I don't think there's any doubt that we'll go for someone in that position as well. I'm not sure that Jeffrey Kondogbia is going to be the person we end up going for. There's many targets out there that could fit that profile. So it seems like maybe a little bit of lazy journalism to link him to us again at this time. But I could come back praising this source for the first to report it this summer if it happens. But at the moment, it's at tier 3.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that don't really go away. It reminds me of the whole Leandro Damião situation, all those years ago when, year upon year we were linked with him and nothing seemed to have happened. This could be a similar one, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it on the Spurs perspective, it seems to happen with many players. We have these sort of sagas where year on year, this is going to be the year we finally sign him. It's been Bale for the last 6 years. Damião, these sort of rumours. Coutinho probably rumble on for a few years now. Just these sort of rumours which never really go away. And Kondogbia is one of them. And I think it was just an easy sort of story to piece together. Obviously, Sky will have their sources, which would suggest that there's something in it. I'm not sure. It's a wait and see until we get some more confirmation from a source more reliable.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mark, for coming on. Always great chatting to you and getting your insight on everything Spurs and transfers. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this content. Do you want to see more of it? And also, make sure to like, subscribe and comment below. And as always, come on you Spurs.